everyone, Maz here. Today we're going to be talking about the root user, also known as the super user, and sort of what they do and how you can access and control the root user. So first things first, what is the super user? So on most Linux systems, when you log in, like right now I'm logged in on a local account, it's not the root user. And the difference is that my account can't install things. It can't edit certain system files. It can't do things of that nature. So basically, the idea behind having a root user is that for most of the things I have to do as a user, I don't need full permissions to do anything. And so if something went wrong, if I download something off the internet and it's like delete everything, my computer is going to be like, no, you can't delete everything because you don't have permission to delete the sensitive files. So that's kind of the theory behind having a root user. But sometimes we need to use the root user. Like if we want to install a program, we need to use root because, like I said, my account doesn't have permissions. So what I have here is a terminal, and what I'm going to do is just type who am I, and that'll just tell me my current username. So you can see that right now I'm not the root user. And if I try to install something, let's say apt-get install sl, it'll say that it couldn't open the lock file because the permission was denied, and then it asks, are you root? Right here it asks, are you root? And the answer is no, I'm a local user. But I can type sudo, and we'll talk about what that is in a sec, and then su, and now you can see it says that I'm root at my laptop's, sort of my laptop name, and then it's telling me where my current directory is. And so if I type who am I now, it says that I'm root. And so this is basically the same as if I were to like SSH into my computer as root instead of as my user. So now if I type apt-get install sl, it just installs it. Sl is now installed. And now if I type exit, I'm back in my local user, who am I, and we're back. So that's one way to do it. Now let's try to get rid of sl. We don't want sl anymore. Apt-get remove sl. And again it says, are you root? But this time I don't want to log in as root and then run one command. And that's what sudo is good for. So sudo actually says, tell root to do this command. So I can do sudo and then apt-get remove sl. And it would ask me for my password, but because I just entered my password when I turned into root, it's not asking. But basically, I just hit yes, and now we removed it. So that was like basically tell my root user to run one command. So we can do other things with this. For example, if I want to edit my hosts file, I could do sudo vim etc. Or let's say I don't use sudo, so vim hosts, and I have all this one entry to block Reddit to increase my productivity. But let's say that I want to comment that out because I want to go browse Reddit. So I'll comment it out, and I'll try to write the file, and it says read only. Option is set, add exclamation mark to overwrite, and so I'll add the exclamation mark, and it still says couldn't open file for writing. And that's because my local account that I'm using right now to access the file doesn't have permission to change the file. But if I do sudo and then vim etc/hosts, same thing opens up. But now when I go down to comment this out and I try to write it, it just writes it no problem. I can quit. I can go and browse Reddit to my heart's content. So that is basically the root user and sudo and how that all works. One thing to note is that sometimes, like right now, my root user doesn't actually have a password. The only way that I can access the root user is through my local user account because it has, it's in what's called like the sudoers group. And so it can tell, it's basically like a group that can tell the root user to do things. But if I was to try to log in, like to SSH in as root, there's no password, so there would be no way for me to do that. And again, that's just a security measure, so people can't just try to log into your computer as root and gain access to everything. So that's pretty much it for the video. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you learned something new.